Hi. Didn't see you there. Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I'm grateful to be here. I hope you are feeling as well as you can be in this moment. Regardless of what experiences you might be having, know that if they are difficult in any sense, this too shall pass. Whatever your feelings are, they are absolutely valid, and I hope to hold space for them. If you want to share how you're feeling, please feel free to do so. Hello, dear Neon Jello Pack. Hello, Sky Guardian G. Our first guests. Welcome. Big City Sax. Thank you for your likes on the live, dear Neon Jello Pack. Namaskaram, dear Dancing Aurora Borealis. I love to set the intention for us to come together as fellow students of life, regardless of our background, identity, orientation, belief system, ethnicity, etc., or the color of our tie. As fellow spiritual seekers to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. Thank you, Nervous. Aw, welcome, Leon. Let's start with a nice deep breath, shall we? Another one. Namaste, dear Anna. Thank you, Japka. Hello, dear Anna. Hello, Dia. Thank you, Gunlord. I am professionally unprofessional. Allow me to also begin with the Sanskrit prayer, Shanti Mantra from the Katha and Taittiriya Upanishad. It goes like this. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine protect us both together. May the Divine nourish us both together. May our studies be vigorous and effective. May we not mutually dispute or hate any. May there be peace in us. May there be peace in our environment. And may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Thank you, dear P-Flomatics, for blessing us with a whole 40 roses. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Om Ganganapataye Namah. And a heart me. You know you're not, dear user 104. Yes, I guess it's called the Eldritch Knot. That answers your question, dear Neon Jello Pack. And thank you, dear Metanoia, for your heart me. And the roses are still going up. For a number of roses that is, as of present, still increasing. Thank you. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your heart me as well. Om Karingalikaye Namah. I feel a shower of roses from you. Thank you, dear Metanoia. Wondering how you are all at this moment. If you want to share how you're feeling, I'd love to know what to hold space for. Otherwise, keep your secrets. Happy to have you all here. Namaste, dear Stevie G. Nice to see you, dear Jen Jones. Hello, Rhiannon. You are sick, but otherwise good, shares dear Anna music note. Well, I pray that your sickness is not one that takes away from your joy, your happiness, your peace, but only brings you closer in contact with your mind-body connection, and that you take care of it, and you let those who love you in your life help take care of it too, and you experience how lovable you are. Your official name is now Anna Music Note, indeed. Dear Zero Day, you're feeling grateful, as always. I like the way you spelled grateful, too. Hello, Chelsea. Dear P-Flomatics, you just bought a meditation journal. Oh, how lovely. What a great way to motivate you to meditate and to reflect on your own meditations. Thank you, Metanoia. The grand total was 34 roses that you sent. Thank you for that. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hello, dear Usha Priya Ji. And thank you, Anazak, for your 31 roses too. Jai Sita Ram. Golden Goddess, thank you for your heart, me too. Rama Rama. Tattvamasi, thank you for your quintet of roses. Om Shri Hanumate Namah. And Sazrar, thank you for your heart, me. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. You submitted your show and tell, dear Stevie G. Wonderful. We'll have it prepared for next time. Dear Dancing Aurora Borealis, you're feeling a bit under the weather. Fever and flu, but happy to be here. Seems like it's going around, but I'm grateful to have your presence here. You're fancy schmancy. Oh, you meant I'm fancy schmancy. Welcome, Miananda. Hello, dear the Oracle reads. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I love that 0 day. I am neither a sheep nor a wolf. I am a shepherd. My day has been well so far, dear Sazrar. Thank you for asking. How has your day been? Yes, dear Stevie G, it can take a while for me to get in the right flow for the show and tell, how it's going to vibe with our Sangha today. But do know that next time it shall be prepared for you. And I'm grateful for your songs as always. Thank you for sharing the live, dear Anna. Anna Marques. So to distinguish you from Anna Music Note. Dear Rhiannon, you ask, is it chilly where I am? It snowed for the first time this year where I live on Vancouver Island, Canada. So it's right around freezing. Not that much lower or higher though. Thank you for sharing the live, dear the Oracle reads. Good evening, Strawberry Star Bunny. And thank you, Mario. Yamaste. You have to be careful with saying Yamaste. You know why? Because Namaste comes from Namate. which means salutations to you. So grammatically speaking, Yamaste would break down into Yamate, which means death to you. Since Yama is the lord of death in Sanskrit. So I think we better stick to Namaste. That's not the only meaning of Yama though, fortunately. Yama also means conduct. So it's conduct to you. Conduct yourself is what you're saying. So I'll be on my best conduct. Dear Stevie G, you ask, would I say that I've made peace and love with cold because of where I live? I've had to. If I don't fall in love with my surroundings, then I'm missing out on being happy. Thank you, dear Sarah Lynn, for your and heart me as well. Om Harim Namah Shakti Shivaya. So I would love to go through Shravana with you, this beginning portion of Sangha dedicated to listening from spiritual source. Today we continue in the first chapter of the second act of the journey home, where our author protagonist in his autobiography has finally reached Mother India. Hello, Jocelyn. Thank you, BT. You're learning to embrace the cold, dear Neon Jello Pack. I think our author might have something to say about that too. What is your request, dear Anna? Anna Marquez. Finding activities that are enjoyable outside is key. Also being well dressed to face the cold. Exactly, dear Neon Jello Pack. What about I grab my cats for a photo? Well, I typically only grab them when they want to be grabbed. So if they're somewhere else in the house right now, I let them be. I know that if someone came into my room and grabbed me right now, I wouldn't be too happy about that. So the next time they come into my room, then they've asked for it. It's already spring in Texas, shares Biananda. Oh, I love that. All right. Did I say we were starting the first chapter of the second act? Wait a second. We're continuing the first. Today, we are starting the second chapter of the first act. No, the second chapter of the second act. Ay caramba! Of the journey home. So, may this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. On a cold December morning in Old Delhi, while planning my journey to seek the yogis and sages in the Himalayas, I happened to look up at a sign plastered on an old Victorian building. The World Yoga Conference was to be held in New Delhi, beginning that very day at 9 in the morning. Excited, I rushed to the site. A British yogi, Christopher Hills, impelled by his love for India, had organized this huge and prestigious event. The coming 4 days promised a bazaar of gurus, yogis, lamas, pundits, and sages sharing their gifts with the world. Some, after decades of seclusion in the jungles, promised to show their faces to civilization. From morning to night, darshans, or spiritual meetings, were conducted simultaneously in 7 locations. Later, I would learn that 800 yogis had assembled for the event. I couldn't believe my good fortune. On the first day, in a large tent, I met one of the greatest masters of yoga, Śrī B.K.S. Iyengar. He lucidly explained the science of Hatha Yoga while his students demonstrated various asanas, or physical poses meant to harmonize body, mind, and soul. One of Śrī Iyengar's students sat with his legs wrapped behind his neck. Another balanced on his forearms with his legs bowing backward, touching his head with his feet. Yet another stood motionless on his head, while another balanced on one foot, arched his back, and pulled the other foot over his head. Another yogi swallowed a long strip of cloth, then pulled it back out as an internal cleanse. Another student, to clean his sinus, fed a thin rope up through his nose and pulled it out through the mouth, pulling it back and forth. I marveled at how easily they had accomplished these practices due to their early training from an accomplished master. All the while, Śrī Iyengar explained the benefits of each technique to the audience. I was deeply inspired by the conviction and compassion in which he taught. I could feel his burning desire to share the gift of yoga with all of the world. In the years to come, Śrī Iyengar was to become a dear friend and well-wisher. Pardon me. As I came out of the tent, I was approached by an older man, a small, thin Buddhist monk from Southeast Asia. He had a shaved head and wore bright orange robes. Beaming with a bright smile, he introduced himself as Bhikkhu Vivekananda. He was fascinated by me, a young American seeking God, and we became close companions at the conference. Bhikkhu was the spiritual leader for thousands of monks in a monastery in Thailand. He had traveled a great distance to attend the conference. Although over 50, he was as exuberant as a teenager. He explained the Buddhist philosophy with his sweet Thai accent as we explored the yoga conference together. It was also at this conference that I first met Swami Rama, who has since become renowned as the founder of the Himalayan Institute. A towering man with a regal stride, pristine robes, and a dignified aura, he commanded awe. His eyes were deep and dark, and his head was framed by silver hair brushed straight back to his shoulders. I was eager to learn more about him, as I would be about many participants in the conference. In addition to asking his disciples to tell me about him, I read everything I could get my hands on about his background. Born in 1925 in a village in the Himalayan mountains, Swami Rama had wandered since childhood, living among rishis, or holy men, in the jungles. With a booming voice, he told of how his guru had instructed him to bring the ancient wisdom of the Himalayan sages to the West. "Try your best," Swami Rama's master had told him, "but whenever you feed your ego or try to do anything selfish, you will not succeed. This is my blessing to you, that whenever you want to become selfless, loving, and without ego, you will find a great force behind you, and you will never fail to achieve some good." To exhibit the powers of yoga, Swami Rama brought several American doctors. While he entered into yogic trance, they connected his body with modern diagnostic devices. He demonstrated, among other things, that he could consciously raise the temperature of a spot on the left side of his hand 10 degrees, slow his heart rate from 74 beats per minute to 52 in just 50 seconds, produce specific brainwave patterns on demand, consciously move a physical object halfway across the room, and even stop his heart altogether. Coming out of trance, Swami Rama explained, all of the body is in the mind. Mind over matter is developed by control of consciousness. You really do not need to know many things, but you definitely need to practice what you know. Placing his palms together, he added, I did this not to show you that I am superhuman, but to demonstrate the science of yoga. He went on to explain that although yoga had been practiced since the most ancient times, it was the greatest of all sciences. Based neither on superstition nor sectarianism, yoga could achieve what modern scientists cannot explain. It is, he said, the science by which one realizes the enlightened state within. I was sincerely impressed with Swami Rama. When I appealed for his blessings, he said in his deep voice, the foundation of your spiritual path will be to keep the company of holy people. He raised his open palm to me. The blessings of the sages will carry you across all obstacles on the path. Each night I slept alone on the ground under a banyan tree near the conference center. In the morning I awoke to the calling of a hawk as it spread its wings from the nest overhead and soared high into the sky. While waiting for the doors to open, I meditated under that tree in the brisk Delhi air. The closing session of the conference was held in the Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi's largest concert hall. 3,000 people assembled that evening seeking knowledge and blessings from the assembly of yogis. Christopher Hills, the organizer, reminded us of our fortune to be in one room with so many spiritual masters. Then, to our surprise, he announced that the program must conclude punctually at 7 p.m. Unbeknownst to us at the time, he had been informed that he and other swamis would be shot by fanatics at 8. But how could a program of so many swamis and yogis, especially in India, possibly end on time? When it became clear that not all would be given the chance to speak, one yogi jumped to his feet and attacked Hills with a barrage of insults. Christopher endeavored to satisfy everyone present, but an underlying tension was brewing. Minutes before 7, Christopher Hills nervously took the microphone in his hand and stood in silence for a moment before announcing that the time had come for the conference to end. A Swami began chanting the closing Om, which I knew to be a divine vibration meant to put our consciousness in harmony with God. This punctual ending outraged some of those who were deprived the chance to speak. Even while the Om was being sounded, an uproar ensued as some yogis grappled to grab the microphone. One of them got hold of the mic and rambled on like a politician with flaming eyes. Aghast, the audience watched a battle of yogis on stage. Were these the men who were supposed to bring peace and harmony to the world? Nobody knew what to say or do. Bhikkhu Vivekananda and I just shook our heads. My innocent expectations were disappointed. Finally, Christopher Hills heroically seized the microphone and wrenched the wire out of its socket. Then he disappeared behind the stage. The conference was over. After the program, in a solitary hall near the chaotic auditorium, I came upon a tall, thin man with long white hair, flowing beard and saffron robes. A person of venerable presence who looked like an ancient sage right out of the Holy Scriptures. Swami Satchitananda welcomed me with a jolly smile and entrancing gaze. As a disciple of the famous Himalayan saint Swami Shivananda, Swami Satchitananda had taken the ancient science of yoga to the West and had followers from around the world. His interfaith work would always seek to bring people of various religions together under the oneness of the Spirit. In his first meeting with the Pope, Swami Satchitananda praised the Pope for working to unite Christians worldwide, and then quickly added, "Now, why don't you come forward to bring the whole world together? Not only Christians should come together, but all people in the name of religious harmony." An appearance at the legendary Woodstock Rock Festival had given him overnight national fame as the Woodstock Guru. The promoters of the event asked that he give the opening address, hoping he would create a peaceful mood. After being flown in by helicopter, he faced hundreds of thousands of hippies and spoke about how sound controls the universe and America leads the world. He urged the American youth to use their sound of music to create peace and joy. "Let us not fight for peace," he said, "but let us find peace within ourselves first." During the World Yoga Conference, I had carefully observed how he maintained grace and dignity through the recent chaos. Now, in a tender voice, he said to me, "I am sorry that you had to see this fighting. Please understand that each person is on his or her own level of progress. Even among practitioners, we cannot expect everyone to be perfect. If we judge each other for their faults, we fall into a trap. It will be better to put your faith in those of good character and cultivate your own yoga practice." His disposition was calm and poised, and his slow and powerful way of speaking moved me. He instructed me that we are beings of happiness, love, and light, but that we have forgotten this because we identified too much with our bodies and minds. We were fine originally and lost that fineness. That's when we became defined. The essence of yoga and religion, he said, was to enable us to align with our forgotten nature as spirit. Yoga is the process of refinement. He stressed that we overcome our mind's tendency towards self-centered concerns in order to realize our essential nature. There is only one cause for all our worries and anxieties: selfishness. The process he taught for attaining this realization of essential nature became known to the world as integral yoga. A synthesis of 6 yoga disciplines, Swami Satchitananda presented spirituality in a down-to-earth, insightful, and often humorous manner. With gratitude, I took my leave. Standing erect, the Swami spoke with a graceful wave of his slender hand. Be sincere and disciplined in your practice. A true yogi is one who lives with the highest human conduct. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and opened his palm to me in blessing. Richard, you have come a long way. May you discover the treasure of your heart. Let's pause our reading of The Journey Home there for now. Thank you, my dear viewers, for listening with me. May we discover may we discover our original inner fineness. Release our self-centered tendencies. Embrace an integral yoga synthesis. Cultivate the highest human conduct and accept blessings and grace from wherever we get the chance to. If you have any insights on what we've read thus far, I open the space to explore it together. That concludes our Shravana, which is the section dedicated to listening. Now we can transition to Manana, the section of the Sangha dedicated to speaking what's on our hearts and minds, finding common ground and resolving our differences. Welcome everyone that joined while we were reading. And thank you, Rahina, for your heart me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dearest Mermander, thank you for your heart me. Radhe, Radhe. Neon Jello Pack, thank you for your 21 roses too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Radhe, Radhe, dearest Magdalene Priya. Welcome Shoshana. The Oracle reads, you share you have Radhanath Swami's other book called The Journey Within. I love that. The Journey Home and The Journey Within. Dear Anna, you're wondering if anyone knows if TikTok is still banned in India. I think it probably still is. I'd be surprised if that changed. Dear Majesty, thank you for your heart me. Om Dham Namaschandraya. Noor, welcome. You feel like you are underdressed. Oh, don't worry. All forms of self-expression are valid. Dear Spinuda, you ask, if I hate seeing people take their life, that's a delicate topic. We can speak very cautiously with mindfulness and love. I would not use the word hate to describe how I feel about people taking their life. I don't hate anything per se. But I would prefer that people explore all options available for them to live before deciding that this body and mind is too much to handle. We have an incredible ability to heal from trauma, both physically and mentally. And the experiences of the body and mind are never permanent. We always have some challenge to go through in life. Every one of us has experienced trauma at some level. The good news is that these experiences don't have to define us in the negative sense. We can use our experience to deepen our understanding of the mind-body connection, empathize with what other people are going through, build up an understanding of the value of mental and physical health, and the importance of kindness, personal boundaries, and everything that we felt deprived of, we add to the world. Karmically speaking, taking one's life, or what really we should say is getting a new body. It's like a factory reset. It's like, I'm not having this body anymore. You get another one. But all your karmas come with you. So all of the lessons one has to learn, they're not learned through death. They're only delayed through death, karmically speaking. We have to, within the lifetime that we have, try to heal as best as we can. Understand that what we are is not defined by body and mind, and that we have the ability to be happy despite our circumstances. Hello, dear Talim. But these ideations should never be met with stigma. We should never harshly judge another person for having those thoughts, because that judgment just adds to the weight that they carry. We shall understand where they're coming from, empathize, relate in our own experience. Give them autonomy. Allow them space. Hello, dear Diane. Hello, Ryan. Dear Carrie, you share your love chose to leave Earth 3 years ago. He suffered from cancer and you miss him every day. Now that's very understandable. Now if you're experiencing a kind of pain that you know you've tried everything already, then that can be a very graceful thing to do, actually. Not prolong the suffering unnecessarily. As long as there's a proper goodbye in order. And I hope, dear Carrie, that you still feel his love in your heart. Dear Stevie G, in our reading today, you share that chapter reminded you that judgment of people's mistakes and downfalls will just affect you. Indeed. Dear Lauren, you're wondering what inspired me to start this spiritual path. Can you start that which has begun eternally ago? Or do you just realize the path you're already on and surrender to the natural unfolding? I think it's beautiful that you've been shedding your tears, dear Anna. You are absolutely allowed to express yourself in such a way. Tears are always a beautiful expression, a release. Hello, dear Dirk. How are you? Dear Gwendolyn Priya, you have a dear friend who left the earth that way too. It is surprisingly common that we know someone who has taken their life. In fact, many of us may have had those thoughts ourselves and maybe have even attempted such a thing before. So we should not be shocked by it. We should be inspired to make a world where more people want to be here. Usher in love and healing. Each journey is so precious. Thank you, me and John. Is that an L or a capital I? Mel and John. Hello, dear Rosalie. Hello, Queen of Hearts. Dear Carrie, you share. Your partner is felt and loved and celebrated, earth inside. Beautiful. I'm happy to hear that. They have merely changed their home from their physical body to the hearts of all he had an impact on. Hello, dear Crossfires. Thank you, Queen of Hearts. It usually happens, doesn't it, dear Derek? Dear Annika, you share that you had a dream that you were mauled by wolves last night. Wow. That's good luck. Yes, I did tie my tie, dear Talon. It's funny. I actually don't know how to do the regular Windsor or half Windsor tie. All I know is how to do fancy ties. Oh yes, Any time that you die in a dream, it's a blessing, because it means that a layer of your being is shed away that you didn't need anymore. Looks like a fishtail bird. It does, doesn't it, dear Magdalene Priya? Gardening Gregorji, you also had a pack of wolves in your dream. You just remember being in a pack, then the scene changed. It's you! You mauled Annika in her dream. You didn't die though, dear Annika. You sacrificed your arms to the wolves and ran away. Oh, what a sacrifice. You didn't die though, dear Annika. You sacrificed your arms to the wolves and ran away. Oh, what a sacrifice. Do forgive me as my internet disconnected for a moment. If my connection has returned, please let me know. Alright, dearest Stevie G. So, you ask if I remember when you said you temporarily separated from someone. How do you know when you're ready for that part to be over? When you've reconnected with yourself. Everything we do externally is a reflection of something we do internally. We create space with others so that we have the time to connect with ourselves. When that connection with ourself is established, our connections with others can be reestablished. Thank you, Strung by Stacy. Welcome, Debs P. Oh, and thank you, dear Dancing Aurora Borealis, for your swan. Om Vasudevaya Namah. Dear Riri, you share, you noticed whenever you're dying, it's probably a dream, and then you're fine from your wounds. I've been killed in so many ways in my dream that it actually starts to be kind of interesting. How am I going to die this time? Nightmares have actually stopped affecting me. That's the beautiful thing about lucidity. If you know you're dreaming, then you know the suffering isn't really affecting your essential nature either. That you are the same. All of your possibilities, your potential, your abilities, your purpose isn't affected by the nightmare, no matter how realistic it may seem. Dear Cece, you share, your cat is scratching the window. She wants to go into the night. The feminine urge to disappear into the night. Like Batman. Dear Lauren, you ask, are we not always dying and being born again in the same lifetime? Like Batman. Dear Lauren, you ask, are we not always dying and being born again in the same lifetime? Dear Hermeneutics, you ask, what kind of an eldritch knot is this? Oh, well, you already said it yourself. It's an eldritch knot. I didn't follow a tutorial or anything. It's the only way I know how to tie a tie. I just go... And that's how it looks at the end of it. Thank you, Saint Martin. No, I have not, dear Hermeneutics. Dear Lauren, you didn't hear what I said. Divine timing is all. dearest Greg R.G., you share, we just got to remember that life is a dream and keep that same mindset while awake. Exactly. Welcome, dream. Welcome, the one. Dear Annika, you dream about having deja vu, and then you get the same deja vu in real life. Subconscious is always a permutations machine, calculating all combinations of events. Exactly, dear Noor. Nightmares are dreams too. Dear Stevie G, you ask how to not go crazy while seeing life as only a dream. By realizing that it's not only a dream. See, when someone brings the knowledge that life is like a dream, we take our previous understanding of dreams and then apply that to waking life. In our society, our predominant understanding of dreams is what is subpar. Dreams are considered random, meaningless fluctuations in a brain that is no longer conscious. And therefore, when you apply that preconception of dreams with the knowledge that life is like a dream, then of course you feel like you're gonna go crazy, feeling like life is just a random neuronic firing of synapses and electrochemical reactions. So instead, readjust your understanding of dreams. That a dream is not meaningless, a dream is very meaningful. Instead of applying what you know about dreams to waking life, apply what you know about waking life to your dreams. That is to say, don't perceive waking life as any less real. Perceive your dreams as even more real. Welcome, dear Keith. Sorry, dear Cece, for the frustration. I cannot control what comments get filtered, but if you rephrase your comment, that can make it come through sometimes. Thank you, dear Sarah. Dear Annika, you ask, why do you have such gory dreams sometimes? Our dreams are a collection of experiences, and if we pay attention to something in the waking state, that seeds our subconscious. If you watch a lot of action movies, horror movies, if you've been affected by war or violence or trauma, and you ruminate on that, then that builds up the complementary experience in our subconscious, which blossoms in our dreams. So if you want to complement all of that gore in your dream, spend a lot more time focusing on something a little less gory. Something light and loving. Maybe something healing. Something mending, so that you take care of your subconscious as if it were a being of its own. My father has all these nightmares. He tells me of the most terrifying, gory nightmares. And he wonders why. He thinks it's this medication. So he's always talking to my doctor about getting medication that doesn't give him gory dreams. But I don't think he realizes it's all there inside him. The gore isn't coming from the medication. It's his own reflection of his subconscious. So when you pair that fact with the fact that he's been watching action movies and stories about the horrors of war and serial killer documentaries and those cop shows and psych dramas, and then his dreams are basically that, I wonder where it comes from. If you pay attention to the nightmares of the world, then you'll have nightmares of your inner world. If you pay attention to the wonderful dreams in the world, then you will have wonderful dreams in your inner world too. Thank you, dear Anasak, for your hand heart. Om Kring Kaling Kai Namah. Dear Davis, thank you for your heart me as well. Om Aing Saraswatyai Namah. Dear Sky Guardian, you share, sometimes medications can cause it to such dreams. You've been getting really weird and disturbing dreams from medications. It's like turning the volume up. That yes, turning the volume up will make you hear the music. But it's not the volume being turned up which is the cause of the music. The music is coming through different circuitry. These medications are just amplifications of the subconscious state. Such is why it's important for people who ingest psychoactive substances to get their set and setting, their mindset and setting in order. Because whatever you experience during the trip is just an amplification of what's already in your consciousness. If you have any fears, your fears will become whoosh. But also if you have any inspirations, your inspirations will become whoosh. So think happy thoughts. Dream happy thoughts. Thank you, dear Edmo, for your heart me and 20 roses. Om Śrī Mahalakshmiyai Namah. Dear Cece, you ask, is life really this complex that there is more than feminine and masculine energy? Here's what we have to understand about the masculine and the feminine, is that the masculine is nothing. Not in the negative sense, in the absolute sense, as supreme nothingness, the space beyond all form. That is the definition of the masculine. A man is not masculine. A man is feminine. How? Because masculinity and gender of the body have nothing to do with each other. Other than that, all gender is feminine. Why? Because feminine, in the most ancient and original definition, is just Shakti, energy herself. So all of creation is necessarily feminine. That includes all of life. That's why we call her Mother Nature, Mother Earth. That includes our bodies, that includes our minds. There is nothing that you can see, hear, taste, smell, touch, or think about that is not feminine. And there is nothing you can see, taste, hear, touch, or smell that is masculine. Because the divine feminine is the experience, and the divine masculine is the experiencer. So is there anything more beyond the masculine and the feminine? Well, the feminine is everything that can be. Whenever there is an experience of any kind of sensation, a vibration, a form, an action, that is the feminine. And whoever is the perceiver, the conscious space of all that action, sensation, movement, that is the stillness, that is the silence, that is the divine masculine. Thank you. such a wonderful question. Hello, dear Sean. Dear Anne, you share in your country. If the dead visit you in your dreams, they're there to take you to the afterlife. My goodness. How interesting. In my experience, I see the passed away in our dreams as not an omen, but for them to come and communicate with you, as a way to resolve any things that weren't settled while alive. That's your way to be in contact with them after they depart from their physical. I like this part. Dear Sarah, you ask, do we all have abilities beyond the 5 senses that can be expanded upon? Why, yes. There are actually 15 main senses, 5 times 3. The reason that number is so specific is because 5 per element, 3 per energy. In ancient India, they realized that almost everything in life can be described in combinations of 5 elements of matter and 3 qualities of energy. The 5 elements of matter are earth, water, fire, air, and the quintessence, space. These are Prithvi, Jalam or Apas, Tejas, Vayu, and Akasha. Besides the 5 elements of matter, there's 3 qualities of energy that animate that matter. That is Rajas, the quality of creation, Sattva, the quality of preservation, and Tamas, the quality of destruction or dissolution. Our tamasic 5 senses, known as the Jnana Indriyas, are sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. But we also have, or my apologies, those aren't the tamasic, those are the rajasic. Those are the senses of creation, creating new experiences through sight, sound, smells, taste, and touch. The 5 senses of destruction, of tamas, are our hands, are our organs of procreation, are our digestive tract, are our vocal cords, and our feet. These are senses in their own right, because we have a sense of communication, we have a sense of digestion, we have a sense of sexuality, we have a sense of locomotion, we have a sense of manipulation with our hands. And the 5 sattvic senses, or senses of preservation, also known as the antahkaranas, are inside. That includes the sense of thought, which is the mind, the sense of intellect, which is the intellect, the sense of intelligence, which is the intellect, the sense of self, which is the ego, the sense of memory, and the sense of consciousness, the sense of being. So those 15 senses produced by the Cartesian product between the 5 elements of matter and the 3 qualities of energy span almost all of the human experience. I made a video about that. You can watch it if you go to my profile. Thank you, dear Anna, for your rose. Om Ham Jum So Namah Shivaya. Thank you, dear Usha Priyaji, for your love painting, your flowers, your 29 plus 9 roses, and a finger heart. Om Mani Padme Hum. You're very welcome, dear Sarah. How funny, dear Neri. Dear Sky Guardian, you ask, is that why the Hare Krishnas say Lord Shiva is God for the Tamasic people? Yeah, actually, yes. In the Trimurti of the deities of creation, sustenance, and destruction, it is said that Brahma is the abode of Rajas, that Vishnu is the abode of Sattva, and Shiva is the abode of Tamas. And thank you, dear hyperfixations. May you have a wonderful night, dear Anazak. Hello, Gothic girl of darkness. Welcome, dear Miranda. Thank you, Anazak, for your friendship necklace. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Thank you, dear Sunflower Dream Haze. I trust you are well. Welcome, dear Sam. Dear Lauren, you ask, if I could be a flower, what would I be? Aren't we all already flowers, blossoming in our own way? I was listening to the Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. He pointed out very beautifully that everything we do can be like a flower blossoming. Whenever we see someone, we can challenge ourselves to become a bouquet of flowers. Each eye can be like a smiling flower. Our smile on our face can be another flower. We put our hands together like flowers and offer them. We make the love in our heart like a flower. We make our voice like a flower. We give ourselves as a bouquet of flowers to the other person. Nice to have you here, dear Sunflower Dream. Thank you for your flowers, dear Lauren. Om Ram Hanumate Namah. I found that beautiful too, dear Miyananda. Is that so, dear Tattvamasi? A lotus flower. Indeed, dear singing soul forever. And what's the most beautiful quality of the lotus flower? Is it its many colors? Is it its ability to have such a symmetric petal tapestry around? Or is it the fact that it grew from mud deep in dark, murky waters, and yet, despite its difficult journey, rising higher and higher, it blossomed beautifully, untouched by even a speck of that dirt. Even the water rolls off of it hydrophobically. Exactly, dear Gwendolyn Priya. May we embrace our inner blossoming in the mud from where we have come, through the murkiness of life, rising untouched in consciousness. Dear Stevie G, you ask, is your latest question able to be seen? I don't think so, dear Stevie G. I apologize. It does seem to target you. I don't know why that is. Dear Lauren, you've learned many lessons from growing flowers. I love that. Indeed, each experience of life can be one for us to learn from. Taking care of such delicate things can remind us of our own delicacy. I think one of the most beautiful parts of a flower is also that you do not need to peel back the petals one by one in order for it to open and share its fragrant aroma. Without even touching the sun from how many millions of miles away? Like 150 million miles, is that it? One astronomical unit away, with its warm radiance, blossoms millions of flowers throughout the world every day. So, if we can be in the presence of that divine light too, we don't have to try so hard about peeling our petals back so that we blossom. Just in that warmth, we naturally unfold. Your comment has yet to come through, dear Stevie G. Thank you for sharing the live, dear Gwendolyn Priya. Patience, dear Stevie G. That's a good idea, dear Sky Guardian G. Send it in Telegram. Let's see if you can share it. I appreciate such a ingenuity to support a fellow Sanghi, dear Sky Guardian G. Welcome, Moch, artists and oracles. Hello. Thank you, Enigma Gon. Welcome, dear CW. Dear user 331, you ask, am I still honest from the heart? How could I possibly answer that question in a way that would reveal my honesty? If what I say resonates with you, then that's the only authority you need. Nothing I share may ever be valued based on whom it comes from. Simply if you see the truth in it directly, then you know it's true. As I have nothing to share that you do not already know, I can only point out what's already there. Dear old welcome Matt, you ask if I'm in the USA. I live in Canada on an island called Vancouver Island. Thank you, dear Enigmagon. What's the occasion? That today is a new day. We're never expected another one. Dear Gregarji, you keep getting weather alerts, and they're so loud and disturbing the vibe. You can vibe with them. Like one of those TikTok trends. I was gauging the vibeability of different alert systems in different countries. Just consider it a very aggressive beat drop. Dear Singing Soul Forever, you shared that you just learned that Canada has over 52,000 islands. Indeed. Dearest Rory, you're in Canada too. Alberta. I was born in Alberta. I was born in Calgary, Alberta. Dear Enigmagon, you share one part of yourself always tells the truth and the other only lies. I love that. Dear Gwendolyn Priya, you used to have your car alarm memorized when you live in New York City. That's hilarious. Ah, you live in my birthplace, dear Rory. How is the weather there? I imagine probably still very snowy. Hello, dear Arthur. Dear Sky Guardian, you ask, on behalf of Stevie G, could dreams be our soul's journey through other dimensions, lives, or universes? They are various dimensions of your own being. And what I love about the word universe is that it's all one, uni. Whoever said there could be multiple universes obviously forgot what the word universe meant. Because how can you have multiple everythings? If there's something else in existence, it's part of the same existence, part of the same one song, universe, one voice. Indeed. My day was well, thank you for asking, dear Arthur. How was yours? Hello, dear Saturnus. Everything is wonderful. Indeed. Dear Ari, you ask, what do I think of ASMR? What do I think of autonomous sensory meridian response? It can be used to induce a state of relaxation. Dear Stevie G, you ask, but what truly caused nothingness to meet with everything? You could say that everything was contained within nothing the whole time. This is a mathematical fact. Here, a thought experiment. I can cup my hands together. I can ask you, what's inside my hands? Not a trick question. You saw me cup them together. Nothing is inside my hands. So my hands are empty. But is the nothingness empty? Emptiness is a property of my hands, property of the container, but of the nothingness itself? Is that empty? It's a mathematical fact that in set theory, there is no set that can contain everything. Therefore, nothing contains everything. You can have a set that contains nothing, but what's contained inside the nothing which that set contains? Emptiness is a property that nothing gives to things, but it is not a property that it itself has. Thank you, dear Ari, for your rose and heart moon. Om Namo Buddhaya. I like that, Saturnus. Wouldn't it be full of awe? Indeed. Dear Saturnus, possibly I've talked about this before, but why do I think awful took on a negative connotation? Probably because originally it had a neutral connotation. But intense neutrality leads to negativity. Isn't it so? If someone is getting beat up and you stay neutral, that's a negative thing to do, is to not help. Sometimes not being engaged, even though is technically neutral, leads to a kind of negative sentiment. Thank you, dear Sheti, for your quartet of roses. Om Kanjahnavya Namah. Thank you, we've won the mental war. Dear Enigmagon, you don't even know if nothing is a thing. What we talk about as nothing is not nothing. Because to talk is to use words, and words are things. Words are used to describe concepts, and concepts are things. The word nothing is a thing. The concept nothing is a thing. But what that word points to, what that concept contains, is indeed not a thing. But we cannot truly talk about that which is not a thing. In the same way that one cannot truly realize God, because to talk about God is to talk about something that has come from God, and not the infinite source directly. Is God a thing? Can the source of things be described as a thing? This is the same as asking, does God exist? Because exist means to be a thing. Is the source of things a thing itself? No wonder people have a hard time answering and agreeing. One person says no, another person says yes, and in a way they're both right, and in another they're both wrong. Dear Enigmagon, you share the dual versus non-dual question is a whole conundrum. So favor a non-duality between the duality of non-duality and duality. A trans-duality, you might say. Not one, not two, but none. Thank you, dear John Simon, for your heart, me and Rose. Maya Shaktaye Namah. Much love, dear Enigmagon. Dear Riri, you ask, what even is a thing? And why should we care what they are? Things are thoughts. Without the mind, there are no things. There just is. It is only because we have a mind that we point out one ripple on the ocean surface as separate from another. We count 1 wave, 2 waves, 3 waves, 4. We divide the ocean up into many waves, but it's all one ocean. Is there really any meaningful separation between one wave and another, other than it only appears in our mind as distinct? In the same way, is there really any meaningful separation between you and I? Even at the quantum level, physicists describe a wave function that has no start or stop. Our energy pervades the whole universe. Dear Stevie G, you have a multiverse of questions for how and why creation came about. Well, your question answers your own question. Dear Singing Soul Forever, you ask about source being the elements and qualities I discussed. The elements and qualities I discussed are part of Prakriti, material nature. Material nature is what has come from the source. Here. Allow me to bring up this. And that's right, dear user 331. Being connected means being part of the same thing. On the surface, we are different, but deep down, we are one. Here's how the universe was created, according to the sound. In the beginning was the Onkar, the One. It is pronounced as a singular, nasalized, labio-guttural It represents unity. Suddenly and dramatically, in a time beyond time, the vocalization split off from the nasalization. There we get the vowel O and the nasalization called the Anuswara. Such diverged material nature known as Prakriti from spiritual consciousness known as Purusha. Then, through the undoing of Sandhi, joining the labio-guttural sound separates into its labial and guttural components. A and U. And the Anuswara descends as it divides into the Makara and pure silence. This now begets the trinity of creation, preservation, and dissolution. The Trinity. Through subsequent divisions, that one becomes many. We may appear as separate through creation, preservation, and dissolution. Our bodies and minds all part of Prakriti, material nature, and our consciousness all part of Purusha, spiritual consciousness. But they merge together in unity in the source, Brahman. Dear Pericor, you ask, are we here to take each other's company? Otherwise, in being one, we'd be alone. Tathastu. Dear Carlos, you ask, what's the name of the consciousness web? One name is Indra's net. A net of multifaceted jewels at each vertex, reflecting all other nodes in the network within every jewel. Hare Krishna, dear Carlos. Dear Stevie G, you ask if I can explain in depth the whole truth on synchronicities and signs. You see repeated signs you don't know of. Remember that we are not here to glean objective meaning from the world, but to imbue it with our own. It is up to you to decide how you want to associate your experiences with concepts, meanings, truth. Your favorite number could mean something very different to another person, as is your favorite color, your favorite flower, your favorite animal, etc. Pardon me. There is no meaning in the whole of the world to be found, but there is infinite meaning within you to draw from and create in this world. Choose the highest associations that you can. Never associate any pattern with fear. Any sign that makes you afraid lowers your vibration, takes away from you living consciously. Let every sign and pattern in your life be one of goodness, of love, of patience, of guidance, of harmony. Try to find the most powerful, profound, and positive meaning that you can in every experience. That's right, Spoon. Dear Singing Soul Forever, you ask, what book would I recommend? What one book would I recommend? The one book that I'd recommend is the one that you write yourself. Dear Kalkiji, you're wondering, what's the Sanskrit word on the fabric behind me? There's a couple different words. This one right here says Guruve Namah, which means salutations to the Guru. Guruve Namah. You could preface it with the Onkar. Om Guruve Namah. And that's a mantra for a Guru. Inside the flower is a vocative form for the Divine Feminine, Radha. It sounds like Radhe, which means, oh Radha. Radha is a form of the Divine Feminine, which is the giver of bliss. Dear Spinoza, you ask, have I read? No, I have not. I have not read any of their books or articles. I'm not a reader myself unless I'm reading to you. The only books I read are the ones to you. Thank you for being here, dear Nigmagan. Happy to have you here. You too, you have ADHD. I think it's just different learning styles. Yeah, I like to learn experientially. Whenever I have a question about something, I try to discover the answer myself. And I never underestimate my ability. I think one of the reasons we are often looking for the words of others can come from a lack of trust that the answers are already inside you. You know, we look to others about what the meaning of life is, about why you're here. But what if no one can give you that answer that's already waiting for you to discover in your own heart? Then it's not a matter of picking up a book and effectively waiting for the right time and place where the book only reminds you of what's already here. but pouring from the heart directly. Getting what you've always known already within you. Expressing it in the world. Hello, dear Danzuela. Hello, dear Heidi. Dear Kalkiji, you ask, what is Turiya? Hello, dearest G. I see your likes on the screen. Nice to have you here. Turiya is the Sanskrit ordinal for the fourth. Let's say you finished with 3 people in front of you in a race, then you would place Turiya. Fourth. Mind you, I'm sure you wouldn't be asking about the ordinal number 4 if it didn't have some spiritual connotation. I actually just drew the Turiya without mentioning it on my blackboard. Do you see here how that Om has divided? And at the bottom row here we have 4 states. We have creation, preservation, dissolution, and then one that I did not define, an empty spot. That's Turiya, the 4th, the state beyond creation, preservation, and dissolution. This can be applied to many other trinities. The 4th state beyond waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. The 4th body beyond your physical, your mental, and your causal. What is that 4th state, Turiya? It is the very space that contains the other 3. Turiya means going beyond the trinities of material nature. At this level of existence, it is the closest thing to that source, the silence that pervades all. Dear Gregor G, you wish I had a chalkboard that I wrote on like that. That'd be fun if I could just turn around and physically draw. That's funny, the favorite feminine. Thank you, Letty. Dear Spinudha, with my description of everything you need to know being in your heart, you share that perhaps that points out our school system is not actually the best. The school system is good for aparavidya, which is worldly knowledge. Aparavidya means knowledge that you get from books, classes, teachers, lessons. Aparavidya is everything you don't already know when you're born. A baby is ignorant on how to speak. A baby is ignorant on how to do their taxes. A baby is ignorant on how to assemble a puzzle for the first time. It's not their fault. They're a baby. And they get the joy of learning all of that again. But it's all aparavidya, which means not higher knowledge. It's not lower knowledge. It's just literally not higher knowledge. Because everything you learn externally, you won't be able to take with you through death. No matter what you learn through this body and mind, when you leave that behind, it won't help you in your afterlife. So no matter how many PhDs you get, that won't help you come to resolution with your mortality. Paravidya, on the other hand, by definition, is that which will continue into your next life because it doesn't have a beginning. It's already a part of your very being. It's always with you. You just have to point it out. But indeed, you've observed that our educational system focuses primarily on aparavidya rather than bringing out paravidya. Spiritual communities are mostly focused on paravidya and bringing out what's already within you. Dear Kalki-ji, you ask, did the Buddha reach Turiya? Siddhartha Gautama. The Buddha, by definition, means the awakened one. To be awake, in this sense, does mean to be awake to Turiya, the state beyond waking, dream, and deep sleep. However, to be absolutely precise, Turiya is not to be reached because it's your essential nature already, only to be rediscovered. Dear Stevie G, you ask, is there always a healthy reason for why we crave certain things? How that craving manifests may not always be healthy, but the intention deep down always comes from a place of wanting some wholeness, some completion, which is a reflection of wanting to be reunited with our unified source, the state of completion, of fullness and wholeness. And cravings are often a reflection of missing that. Indeed. Thank you, Neon Jello Pack, for your pair of tiny diamonds. Yippee! And your finger heart. Here's one for you. Om Namah Karlim Ambita Me Shrim Nadita Me Harim Devita Me Aing Saraswatyai Swaha. Dear Kurugur, you're wondering what language is that? That is Sanskrit. Merit can help in the next life. Of course, dear Kalki-ji. Yes, good karma, good actions. They create our next life. This is a universal truth in all religions, that what we can expect to experience in the hereafter is based on what we express here. Thank you, dear Renfox, for your friendship necklace. Om Kali Maha Kali Kalike Parameshwari Sarvananda Kari Devi Narayani Namostute. How is your meditation, dear Chloe? Hello, Amy. Dear Kruger, you ask, what do I think about how everything is a smaller form of a bigger thing? I would say that you have observed a great truth that I also see as well. And I'm happy we can relate in that fractal-like nature of this universe. Rahu. The earth's shadow. Dear Dennis, you're wondering, how long did it take for me to learn Sanskrit? Multiple lifetimes. And I'm still learning. Dear Anne, you ask, How does one deal with stress? Manage your expectations. Stress means suffering from already feeling like your expectations are going to be unfulfilled. Either expectations that you've placed on yourself or that you've accepted from other people placing on you. For example, many people stress over meeting certain deadlines and quota at their job from their boss's authority. Many people stress about getting enough sleep in order to take on the day tomorrow. Many people stress about being personable and putting on a personality which is relatable for their friends. All of these things arise from expectations. Expectations about yourself. But you will be you, no matter what. And you are always doing according to what you know. And that's enough. Liberate yourself from feeling like anything has to happen in particular, and trust in that no matter what outcome arises, you shall be able to make do with what you have. That's called Karma Yoga. Living in one yoga with your action, karma. That you are not concerned about the result of your action. You simply perform the actions to the best that you can. You do everything you can to sleep, whether you get a good sleep or not, that's in the hands of the divine. You do everything you can at your job, whether your boss accepts that or not is in the hands of the divine. You just be as authentic as you can with your friends, whether they relate to you or not is in the hands of the divine. It's like the serenity prayer. Accept the things you cannot control and know that your best is enough for the things that you can. And thank you, dear Renfox, for your friendship necklace. Om Namah Parashaktaye. Dear Kalki Ji, you ask, how do I go about learning Sanskrit words and translating them? Any tips? One of the most amazing resources that has not existed at any other point in this age is large language models like GPT and the free version that OpenAI provides, ChatGPT. They have been extensively trained on Sanskrit and other languages, and they are very good for getting the basics of individual word translations and the morphology of the grammatical endings. And of course they can transliterate, but automated programs can already do that. I love that, Dennis. At the beginning, the universe created a thought that will someday create the universe. Dear Spinadha, you ask, then should we be stoic about one's stress? Is that the question? I should ask for clarifications before I answer. Good night, dear Chloe. Dearest G, you bring the news that today is Gardening Gregor G's happy birthday? My goodness, you and Sky Guardian G in the same week? Oh, how lovely. I'm grateful to have your presence here, dear Gregor G, on such an important day for you. And over the past year, I've come to know you as a remarkable human being, not just in your spiritual understanding, but your practical and human level knowledge. I see you as a dear friend, spiritual brother, and a Sanghi that I am most grateful for, whose presence always shapes the space and evolution of this environment. May we reflect on all the wisdom and healing that you've come to experience in this solar return, and be open to many more. Om Som Suryaya Namah. Dear Jake, you wonder what I was like growing up as a young child. Mischievous, curious, frustrated. Dear Riri, you ask, how can you find samadhi within you? If you're trying to get samadhi, then it won't come. Samadhi comes when you give up. This is true. It's like with sleep. Sleep comes not when you're trying really hard to sleep. If you try really hard to sleep, sleep never comes. But when you give up sleeping, often that's when sleep arises. Hello, dear Tail. Dear Jake, you're wondering what's my relationship like with my parents. Very close, loving. I'm deeply inspired by them and feel very cared for as well. Dennis, you ask what I think about your thought of that in the beginning the universe created a thought that will someday create the universe. Just this thought creates another universe within us, doesn't it? That's right, dear G. I dressed up nice for Gregarji's birthday. I like that, dear high voltage hippie. Are we not all the son of all, divided to see itself? That's right, dear Spinudha. I'm happy that you gave your body sustenance, dear Kotar. Dear Hybridgen, you share your baby's and yours birthdays back to back next week. What a blessing that is. I believe in your ability, dear Kalki G. Dear voice of the colors, you ask if I know something about gnosis. Gnosis. Why, yes. I know where the word comes from and where it led to. The word to know in English comes from gnosis in Greek. That's why gnosis has a G, and the word to know also has a guttural letter at the beginning, but it lost its voice, and that's K. From gnosis to knowledge, it comes from jnana in ancient Sanskrit. It is the culture of ancient India that gifted the knowledge of gnosis to the ancient Greeks. In Sanskrit, jna means to know. J-N-A-A is how you transliterate it, according to the International Alphabet of Sanskrit Transliteration. True jnana, true knowledge, and being in the state of a jnani, one with that knowledge, is to have understood atma-jnana, the knowledge of the self, the true self, the atma. When one understands their own self, you are liberated from all suffering. because suffering arises in the mind as an ignorance of our true self. We suffer only because we do not know our true identity. And that's because our true identity is something that could never be created nor destroyed. Thus there is no grief for any sort of loss or gain. Dear Jake, you ask, if I were to classify my religion, what would it be? Where should you turn to first? My religion is my humanity. Therefore, you should turn inward and see for yourself. Dear Spinudha, you ask, do I think psychology is effective? That depends on what you're applying it to. Psychology is an understanding of the psyche, and a completely valid one at that. But not everything can be described in terms of psychological models, in the same way that not everything can be described in meteorological models. You can apply many things from what you know about meteorology to other things, but it is best pursued in its own domain. One particular limitation of psychology is that it could never describe consciousness. But I must add that that's not a limitation of psychology exclusively. It's a limitation of everything, because nothing can describe consciousness. You meant psychotherapy. Ah. If it works for you, then it's effective. Dear Riri, you ask, so you're not full of it for thinking you don't suffer anymore? Ah, that's the catch. If you think you don't suffer anymore, you will. Because the mind is not the one that has to realize it's beyond suffering. The mind will continue to suffer. The body too. It's the consciousness which has to rediscover its transcendence from suffering. The mind will experience loss. If the mind thinks, I don't suffer, the mind's set itself up to suffer even more, because the next time heartbreak happens or some other emotion, or we experience some mental health problem, then we've placed that expectation that the mind is not going to experience suffering. And when it does, it'll do so to an even higher extent. The secret is to understand that whatever the mind thinks is not necessarily a reflection of you, because you are not the thinker per se, but the awareness of the thought. Dear Stevie G, why would people that don't align with you any longer try and come back in your life? Is it a test? It is always a question of your own personal choice. If you allow someone in your life, we have the ability to align with them or not. That's our choice. The question is not whether they'll align with us, but if we will align with them. If doing so would take away from some of your values or cross a boundary that you've placed around yourself, then it would be best to uphold that boundary and create space. And you can learn of that lesson whatever you choose to see. love that, dear chunky soup. Meditation is always free. Thank you, Ink Addict, for your heart me. Om Brahmane Namah. Thank you, dear Nick. Dear Lex, I would be happy to have you as a moderator. Thank you for offering. Dear Argo, I'm saying that thoughts come from nowhere or from somewhere else and not of us. That is correct. But we still have a responsibility for which thoughts we choose to act on. Welcome, dear Inevitable. Dear Dylan, you ask if I'm Buddhist. I am no more of a Buddhist than I am a Christian, or a Muslim, or a Hindu, or a Jain, or a Jew, or a Sikh, or a Taoist, or anything else. Dear Stevie G, you ask, will the divine give you tests for certain reasons? No. The divine provides you with tools and asks for you to decide what you want to make with them. Life is a canvas that you, as the divine, get to paint in. The divine does not test. The divine likes to play. Our role with that divine play is to be a part of it in whichever way we choose. Naturally, however, some choices lock us into certain circumstances, and thus by your own wisdom, you get to infer which choices express yourself best and which ones are a lesson to be learned from. The divine provides the canvas. The divine provides all of the art supplies. What you choose to make of the painting that you create, that is in the eye of you, as the artist and the beholder. Dear Riri, you think it must be something you can't imagine currently that'd bring you suffering. But notice how you phrase that sentence. I think is how you began it. Who is the one thinking about suffering? Be careful about these two words, I and think, when put together. Are you really the I that is thinking? Dear Kalki-ji, you seek my guidance on your sadhana. What is my advice for your next step? Well, for that I have to know where you are currently. Otherwise, where is your next step going to fall in relation to that? Where do you feel you are at this moment? And thank you, dear Codeman, for your tiny yippee. Thank you, Daniela. I like that Dear Sky Guardian, you share like in the BAPS. You are the stone, the chisel, and the sculptor. Something like that, you can't remember. That makes sense to me. Thank you, Michelle. You think you're getting it, shares Rūmi, because you already know it, but it's not in full order. And let me tell you, it will never be in full order, because that would imply that there's something about your true nature which is fully graspable. But that would be ignorant of the infinitude of your being, which can only ever be expressed mentally or physically in little tiny infinitesimal portions. If you think one day you'll understand everything, then you must be underestimating the nature of everything, or overestimating the nature of the mind, because the mind can only put one thing in thought at a time. You are not one thing that can be put into a thought at a time. You are an infinitude of expression. Dear Sky Guardian, you ask, doesn't my face just feel so free now? When you go 4 days without shaving, it drives you crazy. I feel naked. You don't know where you are, dear Kalki-ji. Well, then your next step should be to a place which you do know. Dearest G to Infinity, you ask if you've missed the question of the day. Thank you for asking. No, you haven't. My question of the day today is, what is the symbolism of the yogi in his cave? Hello, dear Metatron. I'm unfamiliar with that, dear user Jai, or Chi. You can tell me if there's a better way I can pronounce your name. I'm happy that answer resonated with you, dear Stevie G. Alright, dear Tattvamasi. You share the cave is the heart within, the lotus heart. Sadhu. You're very welcome, dear Kalki-ji. It's an opening nearby, shares Hybrid Jen. Hermitage, shares Lumi. What a precise one-word answer. You had that locked and loaded. Nice. I'm really impressed with that answer. Sky Guardian G, you shared that the yogi can't shave in his cave. You're funny. Hello, mindless occasion. Dear Gregor G, you share you weren't sure when you would shave. You would usually do it often. Perhaps when the hot weather arrives, right? Gotta keep your face nice and warm in the winter. Symbolism? What exactly is that? Asks Kalki-ji. I think you've answered yourself. What a symbolic question to ask. Dear Lex, you share inner mastery, union with the divine within. Beautiful. Humility, shares Riri. I like that answer a lot as well. Portal opening, shares Hybrid Jen. Oh yes, indeed. And thank you, Sharstar. Noor, you share the yogi is one with his solitude. How beautifully poignant of you. God's warrior, you share hermit mode introspection. I like that. Thank you, Kalki-ji. Hybrid Jen, you have been thinking of caves. Because you had a dream about one the other night after you mentioned it here. Ah, the cave of your lover. I still think that's the best first date story ever. Gregard G, you share, you gotta traverse caves to reach Shambhala. Indeed. Stevie G, you ask, where did I get this idea for the question of the day? It syncs with your song for show and tell. It must have been in the energy that you imparted in me, though I have not seen your show and tell. Tranquility shares mindless occasion. G to infinity you share, setting a nodal point in the web of Indra. I love that a lot. Thank you. Stevie G, you share, the cave is the space where our true self resides. Hridayakasha. Dear Riri, you share, the most exciting caves have only one set of footprints. With heels facing the exit. Neon Jello Pack, you think the cave is a symbol of the mind. The yogi retreats to the cave for self-reflection / realization. I think I must be surrounded by yogis and yoginis if these are the answers you're coming up with. Millie, you share, the yogi in the cave says go within. The stillness speaks volumes for the soul who goes to hear. I like that. Nor, you share, the wisest ones always go in caves or away from everyone else. Yes. This is true for the Prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him. Dear Haley, you ask if I cut my hair. Cut my hair? Some of it. Some of my hair was cut, you could say, indeed. The value that you place in the space is one that I hold dear, dear Millie Play. Hybrid Jen, you share, you are the cool one because it was your idea to go to a cave for a date and you drove. That doesn't surprise me. Dear G to Infinity, you share, their energy field is so wide they still feel the connection to all. In fact, that cavern just becomes a resonance chamber to amplify that connection, doesn't it? Becoming part of the mountain, shares Jocelyn. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, dear Gina, for your pair of roses. How many jugs have you lifted today? Dear Kalki G, you share, the yogi is what he is, formless and timeless with nature. I like your Sanskrit, dear Lex. Dhyana, Samadhi, Satchit Ananda. And Noor, you share, the cave is a safe place mentally. Welcome, Ashley. I really like these answers, everyone. I echo the sentiment of you all being yogis, and may this place be like a cave. Thank you for adding to the healing, the amazement, and the peace, dear Peppermint. I'm going to pause our question of the day there for now, because I have a date. I have a date which we will be seeing in the next segment of ruminations. I feel like Rūmi may have something to say, perhaps relevant to our question of the day. Let's continue where we left off. This poem's called Be Love's Willing Slave. May I read it to you? Come and be love's willing slave, for love's slavery will save you. Forsake this slavery of this world and take up love's sweet service. The free the world enslaves, but to slaves love grants freedom. I crave release from this world, like a bird from its egg. Free me from this shell that clings. As from the grave, grant me new life. O love, O quail in the free fields of spring, wildly sing songs of joy. Let's read one more, shall we? I think we've read this one before. I must have messed up my Rūmi reading order. Oh well, it gets better every time, like fine aged wine. This poem's called Intellect is a Shackle. Oh my child, intellect is a shackle on the foot of one who walks the path. Break the bond, the way is open. The intellect is a chain, the heart may be deceptive, and even your soul is a veil. The path is hidden from all three. When you lift the intellect, soul and heart, the station of nearness you reach is still subjective. One who gets lost isn't considered brave. Love takes aim at the one who has no troubles. Know that the arrow of the friend is ready in the bow. Make your chest a target in front of it. Love isn't the work of the tender and the gentle. Love is the work of wrestlers. The one who becomes a servant of lovers is really a fortunate sovereign. Don't ask anyone about love. Ask love about love. Love is a cloud that scatters pearls. Love doesn't need me to translate. It translates for itself. If you journey to the seventh heaven, love is a useful ladder. Wherever a caravan journeys, love is its qibla. May this universe not deceive you, waylaying you from love. For this universe comes from you. Let's go. Close your mouth like mother of pearl. Be silent, for this tongue of yours is the enemy of the soul. O child, Shams of Tabriz has arrived. The soul is full of joy, for the time has come to join in union with his son. By the way, that word, qibla, is the direction or orientation for prayer, usually towards Mecca. Thank you for listening. May we embrace love's fierce surrender. Let silence nourish soul. Trust love's self-translating essence. surrender to union, and journey courageously toward inner love. Let's go back to Manana for a minute. Thank you for listening, dear Michelle. Namaste, Sacred Space from Vancouver Island. And hello from Vancouver Island. Dear Tatwamasi, you ask, what is the seventh heaven? The seventh heaven in the context of Islam is one that I still have yet to learn more from, which is the context that Rūmi writes his poetry from. But it's also an idea that's within Hinduism also, and I can speak more about that perspective. The seventh heaven in India, in Indian philosophy, is the abode of the Creator, Brahma. It's called Brahmaloka, the abode of the Creator. But it's something which is only temporary. People talk about eternal salvation in Brahmaloka, in the seventh heaven, but it's something distinct from Moksha, which is spiritual liberation that can be achieved here on earth. It's said that after spending aeons in Brahmaloka, you may come back here, as if no time has even elapsed. And then your journey continues from where you left off. So, in the Indian perspective, the highest heaven is not the highest goal. It's like a vacation where you meet your maker, but then you come back here for the real goal, which is moksha, liberation from suffering. The real liberation from suffering is not the eternal pleasure of heaven, but to be in the middle of this world and be unaffected by it. That moksha can only be attained here. Another distinction may be that the Creator is not seen as the highest reality. The Creator is divine, a form of the divine, but the highest divinity is transcendental to even the act of creation. That Para-Brahman, that ineffable source, that Nirguna Brahman, that formless reality, cannot be experienced even in the highest heaven. That could only be experienced within. Hello, dear Mariham. Thank you, dear Sacred Space. Dear Usha Priyaji, you clarify. Brahmaloka is the ultimate goal, isn't it? No. Brahmaloka is still a material existence because it's part of creation. It's technically a selfish goal because we're striving for pleasure still. So true selflessness beyond the pursuit of pleasure means going beyond even Brahmaloka, beyond the highest heaven. What is the highest, the ultimate goal then? And what is Swarga Loka? Swarga is the umbrella term for all of the heavens. Brahmaloka is part of Swarga. Swarga just means heaven. In fact, Brahmaloka is one of the 7 Swargas. Dear Sacred Space, you ask, how often do I go live? I try to go live every day. Dear Kalkiji, you ask, where do the deities reside? What loka? Every loka. Each level has a different deity. And the creator, Brahma, is in Brahmaloka. Yeah. You're very welcome, dear Usha Priyaji. Moksha is to be understood as different from attainment to a divine plane. Unless that divine plane is to be realized as something more metaphorical. An inner plane. A refuge that you can take at any moment. Especially this one. Living la vida loca. However, the forms of the divine are here with us. Before your very eyes, what you look at is divine. There is nothing that you look at that is not a divine form. Shiva resides in Kailas. Oh, I'm sorry, dear Greg RG. The ultimate goal is selfless service, in my opinion. True selfless compassion, kindness, patience, love. And when you are established in that, you are liberated. And that can happen wherever you are. In fact, you could even descend to the lowest nether. But if you are established in love, service, kindness, compassion, then you will still be liberated, even in the lowest realm. It's lovely, dear Sacred Space. Perhaps we shall connect one day. How long have I been studying this? This comes naturally to me. It does not come from a book, from a person, or a place. I open my mouth and this is what comes out. Mind you, a lot of work has been undergone to make this vessel the way it is. Just ask my parents how much of a brat I was, and still are. Got a long way to go. Thank you, Ruby. Dear Tattvamasi, you ask, do we create space to give this their meaning, or space must be there for us? We are that space. Consciousness can be likened to Akash, space. And just as a blank canvas inspires the artist, so too, it is from the space of our own being that meaning is inspired. And thank you, dear Lex, for your finger heart. Ashvinibhyam Namah. And dear Majesty, thank you for your tiny. Anthony Angelo back, thank you for your quartet of roses. Dear Spinuda, you think I'm one of the most smartest people on the earth? There's always something more for me to learn from others. I am surrounded by an infinitude. That's what I accidentally just said, or started saying. An infinitude. Sup, man? I'm infinitude. I'm infinitely chill like that. Oops. No, I am surrounded by an infinitude of knowledge that I have yet to even dip my toes in. I look upon all of you as smarter than me. That way I can remain as an eternal student, and that everywhere I go there's something for me to deepen my understanding in. That's right. That's G2 Infinity's alternate name. Infinitude. Welcome, dear Bob. Dear Kalkiji, you ask, how would you get to a lower loka if that is where you're coming from is love and compassion? There are many stories of how one may descend to lower realms for the purpose of liberating the beings there. It's exactly the same concept as someone who is privileged going to an underprivileged area for the purpose of being a role model for equality. That one voluntarily goes to places of suffering in order to be of help, to be of loving service. So actually, you could say that the most divine beings are in the highest heaven, but if they're truly divine, they should be working in the lowest regions right now to bring peace there. So the most liberated being you'll find in the lowest realm. It is getting late, dear Lex. Thank you. May you have a wonderful sleep. Dear Riri, you ask, do you get to pick if you suffer, if you resist? We don't get to choose the circumstances of life, but we do get to choose what they mean to us and what we give our attention to. And energy naturally flows in the direction that we give our energy to. Dear Cece, you ask, what is my dream job? I don't dream of jobs. In fact, nothing about work I would consider a dream. I want to play. I dream about playing. And that's what I feel I do here. And it so happens that we share our blessings with each other, and that voluntarily you support me by your own choice, and that's enough to cover my expenses. And I like to share my blessings back with you too. Hello, dear Sarah 207. Yeah, having fun. And telling people I love them. Yeah. I'm grateful I get to do that here. But I don't consider it a job. I don't consider it putting in work. This is my free time. This is how I prefer to spend my time. Alright, I would like to begin to transition to Nididhyāsana, which is the final portion of the Sangha. I have a very difficult mantra. I'm actually a little scared of it, so I've been putting it off. So, Sarah, you share I look very smart. Well, don't let looks deceive you. Alright. Are you ready for the mantra, everyone? For our closing meditation? Do you feel like you have it in you? Thank you, dear Shakira. Well, I hope so, anyway. Alright. For our mantra tonight, I've chosen the 16 petals from the lotus of the Vishuddha Chakra, the throat center. Each chakra has a main bija, seed, but it also has many sub-mantras which are found in every lotus petal of the center. The main mantra for the throat is Hum. But the 16 lotus petals are the 16 vowel sounds in Sanskrit, and they come in pairs. And they are the 3 pairs of long and short cardinal vowels, a, I, u, u. The 2 vocalic liquids, r, 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 r. That's right. Forget rolled R's. That's a rolled L. The 4 diphthongs and monophthongs, A, I, O, ow, and the 2 consonantal allophones, To add to that, we'll be adding an anuswara to the end of each sound. That is a nasalization. All together. Ang ang ing That'll really activate your throat chakra. So, without further ado, allow me to take the Rudraksha Mala from around your neck, which you have been energizing for us all. Thank you. And we will do our very best to chant the throat chakra lotus petal sub-mantras 108 times. Ang am im arm am om am im arm am Im im I'm aham. Im im I'm aham. Im im I'm aham. Im I'm aham. Im 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 arm arm aim om aham. 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 Im im arm arm aim om aham.
Ang am im im arm 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 I'm am im im arm arm I'm am im im arm arm I'm am im im arm arm am im im arm Im Im Om im im elm am im
May all who hear this mantra have their throat chakra opened. Namaste. So that concludes our Nididhyāsana. What a powerful array of bija mantras that is. My goodness. Thank you very much. Let's get our music back in here. Oh, where did it go? I lost the music. That's okay. I can put it back up. So we've come to the end of our Sangha today. I'm grateful for your presence here. I'm grateful to be here too. Thank you, dear Sarah Lynn, for the rose you sent while we were meditating. Hari Om Tat Sat. And dear Talita, thank you for the heart me as well. Om Kring Kalikaye Namah. Thank you, dearest G to infinity. As I placed the mala on my forehead, shares Gregor G, you placed your phone on your forehead. I love that. Thank you, dear Dansuela. Thank you, dear Miyananda. Miyananda, you ask, what is the throat chakra's element? The throat chakra's element is akasha, space. And how do you feel when it opens? Well, do you feel like you can express yourself clearly? Or do you feel limited in how you express yourself? If you feel liberated in how you express yourself, that you are just pouring from the heart, the chakra below, then it must mean your throat chakra is open. Practice makes perfect indeed, dear Gregor G. You can roll your R's easily, dear Michelle, but you struggled with the rolled L's. Oh yes, they're a tricky one, that's for sure. Start with rolling the R's, and then get more and more comfortable bringing the tip closer to your teeth where the L is produced. I cannot prolong my rolled L's. I'm only at the point where I can prolong my rolled R's. For as long as I have breath, at least. But I can only do little short bursts of the rolled L. That was probably my longest rolled L yet. It's all about the breath. You have to add a lot of breath. Give it that rajas. Thank you, dear Cornelius. Thank you, Inevitable, for your trio of roses. Radhe, Radhe. Thank you for being here, dearest Magdalene Priya. Good night, dear Sangha. That's what you sound like, right? Good night, dear Sangha. Just kidding. May the rest of everyone's night treat them kindly. It's beautiful. You just sound like a dragon or something, dear Hybrid Jen. Perfect. Stevie G, you can slightly roll R's now thanks to these mantras. Perfecto. Yeah, Sanskrit is how I learned how to roll my R's. I did not have the capacity to roll my R's before I learned Sanskrit. Good night, dear Michelle. Thank you to my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace here. And welcome to our new moderator, dear Lex. If there's anything I can do to make this space more inclusive for your next time, please let me know. Maybe that answers your question, dear Enzo. What's my favorite self-inquiry question? The practical question of how I can be more humble. If there's anything I can do to take more accountability, then I am living in the nature of my higher self. This live stream and its clips will be uploaded to my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. In case you ever want to practice your rolled R's or L's, the meditation will be posted in its own playlist. Or if you ever want to catch up on the reading, the journey home, or our ruminations, they have their own playlist for you. Cornelius, you ask, how many chakras must you open to become moderator? You must open your moderator chakra. It's in your pointer finger. So you can go, don't do that. Majesty, you ask, how does one deal with feeling helpless? Be helpless. And that inspires help from your higher self. Allow yourself vulnerability. It's such a beautiful thing. Vulnerability. the state that invites grace. Just be open. Give up receiving from the world. Allow yourself to receive from your higher self within. Be helpless in the world and allow your higher self to be helpful. Thank you, Diamond. May you have a blissful sleep as well, dear Lala Michelle. Thank you, Tegan. What am I going to eat? Depends on who's available. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Trying to be in key with the background music. It's not working. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Good night, dear Usha Priyaji. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment.